Now after every phone I review, I put it down and I just move on. Except for this one, because I tried to replace it for you by comparing it with the iPhone 17 Pro and even the OPPO Find X9 Pro, the camera of the year according to MKBHD. But this vivo X300 Pro keep pulling me back. And that's not normal because phones usually don't do that. So after 3 months, is this still special or am I lying to myself? Now first of all, using this daily is still really good without a case, and this is honestly one of the best feeling phones to hold. The shape, the matte finish, the weight, especially the overall balance when using this phone was really great. And since you can easily rest your index finger at the bottom of the camera bump while using this with one hand, all of that means that it just feels right in the hands. It's just like when you shake someone's hand, you immediately trust them. This phone gives the same vibes. But when I'm out and about, I usually leave this particular case adapter on for this particular telephoto extender, because lately I've been using this lens way much more, but more on this telephoto extender lens later on in this video. Now in terms of the long-term wear, there is a very tiny small scuff at the top left of the phone. A very tiny one which is not very noticeable, but I guess that's the cost of not using protection. Phone case, I mean. But other than that, there were no signs of wear around the phone, especially the matte finish at the back. And even though I have the Aura ring on my left finger, there was no visible scratches at anywhere besides the top left as mentioned earlier. And the buttons are also still nice, very clicky, and everything else doesn't feel like it's worn out at all. But here's a real world update. The stock screen protector that comes with the phone. It is starting to bubble. So realistically, the shelf life of this screen protector is probably about 3 months or so. After that, you either need to peel it off or live with the occasional bubbles, or pretend that the bubbles are part of the design language. But of course, the good news is that, as mentioned, it comes inside of the box, so honestly, fair play Vivo. However, the screen itself, no issues at all. Watching videos is still lovely. Colors, the brightness and smoothness are still flagship level. But of course, if you remove the screen protector completely, the viewing experience is actually better. Then the stereo speakers is still really loud, clear and surprisingly full for a phone within this particular thin form factor. Now battery life is still excellent, and after the latest software update, my screen on time actually got slightly better when I was using it daily. Not exactly mind-blowing or winning any awards, but still very good for a very heavy use, which is about an average of 6.5 to 7 hours of screen on time with a 2.5 days of use until I reach about 18% battery still, which almost never happens this late into a flagship, so we all need to thank MediaTek for that. Then charging speed hasn't slowed down and the battery readings are still very much accurate. Now just so you know that the last security and the software update came in December 2025, and that shows that Vivo is staying consistent with the overall updates. Definitely better than other brands that go quiet after a launch. So yes, from a long-term perspective, this feels like a phone that won't be abandoned quickly. Then software-wise, while many have said that the OriginOS is trying to copy Apple, but to be honest, it doesn't feel like I'm using an iOS device. Because what I've learned is that, number one, the phone still feels like an Android phone. Number two is that Vivo has taken the best of iOS-like features, especially the Easy Share, which is like an AirPlay-like feature that still works flawlessly during my 3 months of use. And as a Mac user for 24 years, this has come in super handy to control or to transfer files back and forth with a Mac. And the Origin Island on top has come in extremely handy, especially when copying and pasting text from app to app, something that I would do a lot, and I'm sure you probably might do it as well. Which, to be honest, this particular copy and paste feature within the Origin Island is better and well thought out feature compared to others who tried their best to copy it. But honestly, it's even better than Apple's Dynamic Island 2, since it has that copying and pasting feature mentioned. So as predicted, this software on the phone is one of the biggest reasons for you to get it. And since this is still a phone in the end of the day where you make phone calls, so yes, the call quality, network stability and the Wi-Fi has been excellent with no noticeable dropouts. So if you watch my previous fall videos on this phone or other people's review of the vivo X300 Pro, you would know by now that this has one of the best cameras for a smartphone. But as of late, I've been using it together with this a little more, which is the Telephoto Extender, not just for test shots, but in real life, family, friends and casual hangouts. So it's part of my going out kit. Compared to bringing a perfume, I bring in the extra zoom. Now, if you missed my YouTube shorts and the IG Reel comparison video between Vivo's telephoto kit against OPPO's, you would already know who the clear winner is over there. So during the day, these particular zoom shots are fantastic with different focal length even beyond the optical 200mm lens, where it was sharp, usable and genuinely impressive for a phone. Then there's also another thing which I thought which was a good hack per se, where I use this particular lens to take close-up shots like this particular flower over here. Now, although the minimum focus distance is not like a macro type since you are not going very close to the subject, but overall, since I take the picture from afar, the focusing and the shallow depth of field was really great, almost giving you that macro type of shots. And yes, using this lens at night was also very good too, as seen in these sample photos. So if you're wondering whether or not is this telephoto extender together with the whole entire kit something that is really worth it, well, for something that turns your phone into a mini zoom camera, it is surprisingly very practical and it is something that I highly recommend. But there's one thing that I love more than I thought I would, which is shooting in 4K 120 FPS. And the fact that you can shoot this in log, it makes me even happier because the dynamic range is really good. And the more I use this, the more I joke about throwing my Sony a7S III in the bin. Well, not really, because I might just sell it because I can make some money at least. So yeah, if you love shooting video, this phone isn't just good enough phone for video, it's actually a serious B camera, especially if you're shooting content or if you're a content creator. And also worth mentioning is that during my 3 months of reviewing or just using this phone, there was no point that it ever overheated when I was recording videos, even though I was recording at 8K 30 FPS continuously too. Now, I haven't been gaming much lately because I have a baby boy now, so free time is rare, but I love it. But revisiting games like Genshin Impact, well, it's still smooth. No overheating, no weird drops, and even at the highest setting seen over here. Now, there were some online complaints about how people mention about heat and overall battery drain when it comes to gaming. But personally, I never ran into such issues from the start of me using the phone and even up until now. So with all of that being said, let me tell you who this phone is not for. Probably for those heavy gamers because of this really big camera bump. This could be a deal breaker for you, as it does interfere with long-term gameplay, especially if you're playing in a more of a landscape position. And of course, if you love a more minimalistic design, this is probably not it. And finally, if you just don't care about cameras, then you should probably look elsewhere. But here is the truth. Compared to every smartphone out last year, this vivo X300 Pro didn't get boring. It didn't fade into the background and it didn't become just another phone. Instead, I started using more of what it offers: the zoom, the video, the battery confidence, and of course the amazing cameras and software too. Because the real test of every smartphone out there is not how exciting it is on day one, but how useful it still feels months later.